So, Ragiroth do.
Ragiroth Enterprises.
How's it going, everybody? Rich from Ragiroth Enterprises here, now with another top 10 video. This one, okay, so basically, I guess I've finally seen what all the fuss was about with My Hero Academia. I just recently caught up with the anime, and yeah, I gotta say, I'm definitely digging it. I am kind of seeing what all the fuss was about. So apparently, there's a fighting game for it coming out called My Hero Academia One's Justice. So I figured, hey, it's still kind of early. I think only not too many characters have been announced for it. It's, kind of all the really obvious characters anyway. It's like a 3D action fighting game, kind of, I guess, jumps, J-Star's Victory Versus, and the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games. And I think it's coming out this year, and we don't really know how big the roster is going to be. I mean, I'd like to say probably at least early 20s. It's the first time they're doing one. So I guess I figured we're going to talk about in top 10 characters. I have one for it that aren't already in the game. I mean, I personally, Bakugo and Todoroki are two of my favorites, and they're kind of already in, but I feel like you kind of would have to have them. I'm just going to do top 10. I'm not going to do any honorable mentions or things like that. And I'm just going to say this. I feel like characters that are lower are probably the characters that are hard, for the most part, are harder to make fighting game movesets for. Because the problem is, I think I noticed with the show, is not the show, but I guess some characters don't really have powers that could, I guess, translate into a fighting game well, if they're really interesting or need powers. But hey, I guess that, be a cool challenge for the developers to maybe come up with ways how they could fight. I don't know if there's gonna be assist characters or anything. I know apparently the 3DS game that I think came out in Japan, I think had assist characters. I don't know if this game is. They haven't really said or shown anything like that yet. But alright, here's my top 10 list of characters I've won. Okay, number 10. I had given kind of their nicknames or their aliases or some kind of nickname for them, and then type their real name, because I sometimes can't, I'm still getting used to all the names. The number 10 is Kurogiri. He's the one building the warping abilities and all that. He's really cool. I definitely like his design and his kind of mysterious atmosphere. Problem is, the reason he's so low is, because like I said, I just don't know how the hell he could work as a fighting game character, because he doesn't really do any damage, or direct damage, I should say, with his abilities. So he might be, unfortunately, better as an assist character, or what they could do is they could actually maybe make him part of Homura Shigaraki's moveset, because honestly, it's because he's apparently going to be playable, and he might be kind of hard to make playable too, because he could definitely do damage, but I just don't know how you can make his powers, the full moveset. So maybe you kind of have to rely on Kurogiri kind of in his moveset. So yeah, that would be a case where I'd be fine if the character is part of the character's moveset. But alright, anyway, moving on from him. Number 9. This is kind of a either or situation. Tetsu, or Ijiro Hiroshima. Tetsu is the guy that can turn to steel. Ijiro is the guy that can kind of harden his body. I'd be fine with either of them. I mean, they're both kind of cool. I guess maybe I'm a little more biased towards Tetsu just because I steel is cooler than rock in my opinion. But yeah, I guess they're both cool characters. Might be a bit tricky to make a moveset for them just because it's no, I think it's been done before in fighting games. A character that can kind of make their body hard, and yeah, I think there's definitely something you could do. Definitely probably be a slower character, slower brawler type. But yeah, not much to say with them. I feel like the funny thing is the show actually kind of makes fun of their powers being so redundant, or they could even be a team too, because they do become friends. So maybe a tag team or something. Or I'd actually be fine if there was kind of skins of each other. That'd be fine with just different voices. That'd be totally cool with that. All right, so moving on to number 8. Ectoplasm. I just thought this guy was really freaking cool. He's definitely one of my favorite of the teachers, if not my favorite. But his design reminds me of somebody. I can't put my finger on whose design it reminds me of. He's really cool. Problem is, he's so low because I just don't know if you can really make his powers work that well. Admittedly, I mean, he can make clones of himself, and he does fight the clones. So, yeah. Actually, you know what? Thinking about it, he could probably work. His ultimate could be summons the giant one. He summoned in the final exams. Yeah, I guess he could be kind of like... he could basically be like a cooler version of Naruto, just not using Rasengans and Shurikens and all that. So I think it could work. Might take a little bit of creative stuff, obviously. Probably only, you probably have to balance how many clones you send out. Because I know you can summon up to 30. That might be a bit much. But or maybe his ultimate he can summon 30. I don't know, something like that. He could work. Probably he's just not as I think a direct moveset idea I can think of for him. I'm sure maybe they can do something with it. All right, so moving on to number 7, Endeavor. Good guy, but not a very good dad or husband. We haven't seen him do that much, at least in the show. By the way, I'm mostly just basing off the anime because that's A, what I've seen, and B, I think that's what they're basing it off of. I don't know how much farther the manga is, but I noticed games, especially Bandai Namco games, they don't usually go past the anime. Like maybe they'll go a little bit past it, or I should say, because I think the new anime starts in April, so maybe it will be past a little bit the second season. But probably I'm expecting most of this stuff to be from season 1 and 2, and that's it. But so far we have not seen him do that much in the show, but when he has done something, it's been pretty awesome. And there's really no pure fire character, so that could be something he could be definitely unique with. I feel like he'd be like a slower, bulkier version of like Ace from One Piece or something. He would definitely be cool. I mean, he is like the number 2 hero next to All Might, so he definitely has some presence in the show, we'll put it that way. So moving on to number 6, Momo. Yeah, I can't say her name. Creati. She's probably maybe my favorite female character. No, not just for the but no, she's pretty cool, and I think her power would be really neat in this game. I mean, she could basically make well, I don't want to say anything, but a huge variety of things. I think she'd be kind of like I guess she could be kind of like how 1010 was in the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm game. She's using a bunch of different weapons and all that. I think she could definitely be given a moveset, and definitely something unique. Obviously, she'd probably only be able to have maybe a few of her objects out at a time. And for the ultimate, I guess she could maybe summon like a bunch of them, or maybe just do a grand attack or something like that. Because one of the things that's neat about the game is I think not every character might have like a cinematic super. I think it depends if they're how their powers are, and they might just have to give them some kind of like power up mode for their ultimate, something like that, which would be totally fine. All right, so number 5, Snipe. I think he doesn't have a real name, just Snipe. This guy is also one of my favorite teachers. He's a little higher just because I think he's a little higher than Ectoplasm. I think just because he could be good at moveset much easier. He could basically be like how Aaron Black or McCree from Overwatch would be like in a 3D brawler fighting game with a little bit of Whole Horse from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I think it'd be super easy to make him unique, have his bullets doing a track. He'd obviously be more of a far range character because he's a gun user. I don't know what his chances are. I guess, I mean, he hasn't done that much of the show, but I feel like you could probably maybe give him something. Maybe take some liberties here and there. But no, Snipe would definitely be cool, and I think he'd, it's pretty, because there's really no other gun users in the show, at least from what I've seen. So he'd definitely be unique. Definitely has stuff to work with. So number 4, Shota Aizawa, or I'm sorry, Eraserhead. He's definitely another one of my favorite teachers, and he's probably the most prominent one, I'd say, next to All Might himself. I mean, he's their main teacher in their class, and I guess his powers or his quirk would be a little hard to balance. I mean, I guess he's only keep his eyes open for a certain amount of time, so I guess you maybe like hold a button down or something to keep his eyes open, and he'd maybe have to be facing the character for their quirk to not work, or maybe you could just put him in a debuff mode for a bit. Doesn't he have to be like either one could work. I think it would be neat if it maybe depend on like how much longer you press a button, and if you're actually facing the opponent. I think that would be definitely cool. I mean, he definitely can use his like tape that I forget the name of what his weapons are. Kind of like a whip sort of character. Anarchist from Darkstalkers using like his tape to like throw people around and all that. I think that can whip people. I think that'd be pretty cool. And I think he's prominent enough in the show to be kind of a given his own spot as a playable character. Okay, so now we're getting pretty high up there. So number 3 is Denki Kaminari. This guy, he's one of my favorite students. I mean, I'm always a sucker for electric powers. He's not one of the most prominent characters in the show. I do know he was apparently playable in the 3DS game, so I guess he was prominent enough in that. And I think electric powers. I mean, there are a bunch of different games, and I mean, electric powers are a pretty simple thing to work with, even if he hasn't shown much off with them. And I think he'd be also not only unique but entertaining. You have to watch how much he uses electricity, because then he'll kind of go into his brain dead goofy mode, which it would be good. He could maybe be like amazing, but then you have to be careful how much electricity you give off, or he'll just go goofy and all that. I think it's definitely an entertaining part of his character. Plus, he looks like a combination of Yosuke from Persona 4 if he skinned a zebra striker from Pokemon and wore him as his coat. That's messed up. No, he's one of my favorite of the students, and he hasn't been announced playable, so I would definitely like him in the game. And I think he has a decent shot. I think he has a decent shot just based off of making that 3DS games playable. But I mean, he has lost a little more prominence, in the I guess the more recent part of the show that they're up to now. But maybe he could always become more prominent again anyway. Okay, so now number 2. It is a really tough call between the number 2 and 1 spot, but number 2 goes to Fumigaki Tokuyami, or Tsukiyomi. He's probably another one of my favorite students. I just like his design, that he's just some blackbird or crow guy. But his power is really neat too, with his dark shadow. I think it's a really cool power. I think it would work fairly well in a fighting game. I also like how the shadow has its own personality. It's kind of goofy, contrast with his more serious demeanor. I think the reason he was the number 2 spot is and not the number 1 spot is because he's, I guess, power. I think it could work, but it is a little bit one note. He doesn't really do that much with the shadow, as opposed to just kind of using it to just attack things. It doesn't show that much. He hasn't used it in a huge variety of ways yet, at least. But I still think you can make him playable, make him work. I know one thing that I think might sort of hurt his chances is in the 3DS game, he was actually an assist character and not a playable character. I was actually very surprised to hear that he wasn't playable, but Kaminari was, because I feel like Kaminari is nowhere near as prominent in the show as he is. Though I think here's the thing: apparently that game only went up to the sports challenge, or the tournament kind of arc, or part of the arc, and Tokuyami actually does a little bit more after that part, in the final part where him and Sue fight against Ectoplasm. And not that it gives him that much more to work with, but it's still something. I do hope he's playable. It would be disappointing if he's not. Wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would kind of suck. I think he has decent chances. Not amazing chances, but decent chances. Alright, so the number 1 spot goes to, drum roll please, Cementoss. Why? Because I love his head shape. I mean, he's clearly the best character in the show, best teacher. No, I'm actually just kidding. Nothing against Cementoss though. Number 1 goes to Stain, the hero killer. One of the main reasons he got the number 1 spot, at least over Tsukiyomi, is just because I think he has a little more to work with than him. So that's that was kind of the tiebreaker between those two. He's probably also my favorite villain in the show so far. I feel like he's the one that kind of has done the most, or at least has the most, I guess, physical moveset. I think he's probably the most presence, or had the most presence. I mean, I really like his design and his character. His design, it kind of actually reminds me of something from like a Spawn comic, something from Image. I wonder if that's what they were going for. Maybe they were taking some inspiration from other superhero-related mediums. He's definitely really cool, really overall cool character. I think I mean, there's really no like, there's not really a pure sword user in the show so far, and he uses like a bunch of different weapons. He's like an assassin, ninja. Yeah, and his quirk I think could be, I don't really know how off the top of my head it could work. It might be a little bit overpowered. They definitely have to tone it down some way. One thing they could do is, it could depend on the character you're using, because his quirk does depend on the blood type of the person he's fighting. But that would probably not be fair, because it's like, what if your favorite character has the blood type where, like, I forget exactly the exact ones and how it matched up. But what if your character mechanically has the blood type that does the worst against him? That's not really fair. So I'm sure they could make it work somehow. It might have to just be a very temporarily like stun ability. You know, if he cuts you and has your blood in a certain, you know, if he cuts you and has your blood, you know, maybe just stun you for a little bit of time. But no, I think overall he has a lot of moves. He has a lot of moveset potential he could work with. You know, he's one of the only villains that I think, you know, could or will be in the game, and he's one with the most presence. And you know, just really, you know, cool, enigmatic character, if you want to call him that. But yeah, that was my top 10 list. I'm sorry if I didn't go into that much details. It's like I'm still kind of, you know, the show's still kind of new, at least new to me. And just based off what I've seen, or what I can, you know, what I think, what characters could work as playable, and how they could, and like I was actually only thinking of doing maybe like a top 5 list, because it was a little hard to think of a top 10 characters that could work in the game. But you know, like I said, there could definitely be ways for it to work, and I've never really heard of this developer before. I don't really know how they think, but it seems like they're trying to make the characters feel unique from each other. You know, it would be really cool. You know, I mean, I like J-Stars and the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games, but you know, some of the characters are, you know, just the gameplay itself is, I guess, become kind of uniform. So it would be kind of nice to see something a bit different. But yeah, let me know if you guys agree with some of these choices, disagree with some of these choices. I kind of think there might be a lot of disagreements, just because I feel like there's a lot of maybe popular characters I haven't chosen. I'm sure they would have probably been honorable mentions. I just didn't feel like doing honorable mentions, to be honest. I would maybe like to do more videos on this game in the future. I don't really know. Depends how I feel, how things are going. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Don't forget to check out marking art in the description below. Give me a subscribe if you haven't already. You know, it would be cool. You know, I appreciate it. No, it's okay. And as I always say, another time, another place. Keep being awesome.